Hi everybody, Renegade 67 and or 68 here with some more Let's Play Stream Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works Blind. So, last time Shiro broke up with Rin, but not this Shiro, Archer Shiro broke up with Rin so that regular Shiro could get back together with Rin, and then Rin confessed some stuff about her sins, and then Shiro's like, "Those aren't sins, you're perfect." And Rin was like, "Okay, yeah, I guess you're right." And then she was like, I really like you, actually. And then was like, oh, well, thanks for earlier. And, she didn't actually say she liked him back. So that's a bit awkward, which I understand that she's shy, but he has a little bit of a self-hate issue and probably won't fully get it until she says she likes him. Mm. However, we're now planning to team up with Elia. That sounds fun. Let's find out what the dealio is. Verse Berserker. Oh, we have an interlude. Okay. She's alone with her thoughts in the darkness. Okay. It's an interlude to the church. Saber interlude would make sense because Saber is a main character. It's also possible that this is a caster interlude if they're trying to delve more into her story and how that relates to Berserker. She's alone with her thoughts in the darkness. I think the most important part of yesterday is how seemingly self-aware Shiro is about himself. How he literally said, "I'm deceiving myself with all the patchwork." Yeah. Yeah. I think Shiro, we went over this at the end as timeline 1 got near the end. Shiro is rather smart. He just tries to look away from certain things if they seem unappealing to him. She's alone with her thoughts in the darkness. It has been a day since she attacked the church and killed the preach. Killed the preach. Alright, so it's, Caster. Again, though, killed! Killed the priest! He can't be alive if you killed him, and yet there was a strong implication from Rin that you did not kill him. But now you're like, you killed him! What are you doing, interlude? Ooh, it has been a day since she declared she can find it no matter where it may be hidden if it exists. The Grail, which would be Elia, and that's where Shiro's now going. She can... Interesting. She declared that she can find it no matter where it be hidden. That feels like someone who's trying to live up to expectations. Expectations of Kazuki, because she actually likes Kazuki. Interesting showing a softer side for her, if that is what this is doing. But again, I don't know how interested I am really in her getting a softer side. Because she seems like the big Ooga Booga villain. And I like it when Ooga Booga villains just are allowed to be deliciously evil. I feel making them tragic can sometimes take away from the enjoyment of the climax. Depends on how they handle it, of course, but... It may not be the case for other servants, but there's no way someone versed in magic like her would not be able to find a relic as holy as the Holy Grail. Then there is only one answer. Oh? The Holy Grail was never hidden in this church to begin with. Dash, 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 dash. She sighs and puts her fingers on her temple. Her temple! Like the temple on the skin instead of the fact that she has a temple. When she closes her eyes, heavy darkness assails her body. Okay. No, it is just a scream. A scream? Saber's scream? A flashback scream? Is she remembering her brother? And how she killed him and how she feels guilty or something? It is not coming from outside. The scream comes from her body and mind, telling her that her fatigue is at the limit. Telling her that her fatigue from spreading herself so thin, like she was all confident being like, sure, I can take Archer, because she feels like she has to be large and in charge, but really spreading herself between herself, Assassin, Archer, Saber is all a bit much. Maybe she needs to let Assassin go at this point, or what's the deal? It has been a month since she was summoned. Okay. A month. That's a long time. Because we're on day 12, 13 of the Grail War, so... From, Shiro's perspective. So, if she's been around for a month, then that's 2.5 weeks before Shiro did his summoning. I want to say Kirei said Berserker was summoned first, but he might have also said something about Caster being summoned around the same time. Since then, she has done her best to win. Uh-huh. Her master is an ordinary person without a magic circuit, and she is the weakest of the servants. Oh, self-admission that you're the weakest of the servants? I'd make a strong argument Ryder is the weakest. Timeline 3 will probably have a twist and be like, oh, I'm actually X, which means I'm super, secretly much stronger than you thought. But so far, Ryder, you know, she got beat first, so twice, and it's pretty pathetic. And she is the weakest of the servants. I don't think that's true. Like, I guess maybe you are physically the weakest. It's just interesting that you think of yourself as the weakest. If this is from her perspective, despite the monologue referring to her as a she instead of an I, if it is from her perspective, then it shows the fact that all of her touting and gloating and all that is to hide her own insecurities, I suppose. Maybe. To make up for that, she abused forbidden magic. Collection from the people, the magical string she placed throughout the town, and the control of the ley line using sacrifices. Okay. These are all reasons why she was called a witch during her life. Well, this is no longer your life, so I guess you did that when you were alive too, to win fights? Okay. But she has never used them before. Never used what before? These are all reasons why she was called a witch. The magical string she placed throughout the town? You mean she never used sacrifices, or she never used the string? But you're saying those are the reasons she was called a witch during life. You mean she did things like this, but not exactly this? I don't get it. She should have never used them, and she did not intend to do the forbidden. She should have never used them. The sacrifices? She did not intend to do the forbidden. The forbidden as in summoning a servant to herself a servant? So, Caster's actually a good person. Feel sorry for her now. I don't mind if there's a twist that there's a bigger villain, but I like enjoying my juicy villains as juicy villains that are juicy. And they definitely seem to be building her up as the big villain, so I don't know. It can work. I just enjoy my juicy villains not having too much of a tragedy to them. So, why did she end up using them for a meaningless conflict like this? What exactly did she use, are you saying? The sacrifices? The ley line? The hurting the humans? Was it for this? Oh, it's for the sake of Kazuki, right? You did grody stuff because you really want Kazuki to win because you're in love with him? Nah, Archer's the big villain. I press X to doubt? Shiro is Archer. Granted, future Shiro could be the big villain, but I definitely don't think that's what they've been alluding to. It'd be interesting, though. She became heroic spirit to take revenge. Okay. Revenge against who? But she also knows it's meaningless to use the skills that labeled her a witch. Who is she revenging? She only uses trivial magic. Your magic seems, I think, a lot bigger than trivial, but okay. She only created disasters that cause people to destroy themselves with their own greed. Oh, okay. So you want to hoist people by their own greedy petards? You don't want to maybe hurt people that are, like, nice? Except with the case of this town, are you talking yourself up with the idea you're taking everyone's magic when you're actually only taking bad people's magic? Which is why you're so exhausted, because even though you act like you're taking everyone's, you're not actually? That was all the revenge she could manage, so what caused her to stray from her path so much? What is your path exactly? Your path of revenging these greedy people?
すべては聖杯のため。あらゆる望みを叶える聖杯なのだから、気が違うのは当然です。
What is your wish exactly? It is all for the Holy Grail. It is natural for me to go crazy for something I can grant any wish. But if you're not like a generic evil villain that wants to just take over the multiverse, what do you want out of the Grail? What's your good-natured wish? That is a lie. Okay. It's because you really like Kazuki and want him to win? She knows the true identity of the Holy Grail. Okay. So you don't know where the Holy Grail is, but you know that it's grody and stuff? Alright. She already knows what the thing is and why servants like her are summoned. Okay. It is true that most wishes can be granted using the Holy Grail that appears in this town. It will allow her to stay in this world with physical form. It will allow her to start a second life as a human. And you want that because you're in love with Kazuki? But...
バカね。そんなことに何の意味があるというの。
How stupid. There is no meaning in such a thing. Yeah, they're really setting up the tragedy in her that now. Okay. Saying so, she closes her eyes. She empties her mind. For now, she lets her guard down and rests her mind. Okay. She hears the sound of rain. Alright. It was a night without moonlight. Flashback? Having a flashback to from the Berserkerian Hercules in time? Lancer's gonna penetrate Cheer with his big red spear. Too late, he already did that. Oh, I get it, it's a sex joke. Ah! The surroundings were pitch black, and she wandered with an empty mind. Okay. That is where she met him. Kazuki? She lets her guard down and rests her mind. Surroundings were pitch black. She wandered with an empty mind. That is where she... That wouldn't make sense. It couldn't be Kazuki, because if she was summoned by Kazuki, she wouldn't meet him like that. Right? With blood-stained body and frozen limbs. She has the blood-stained body, or the he she meets has the blood-stained body? A chance meeting that was more miraculous than any miracle. Okay. Oh, you tell me who's the he? Oh, it was the mountain where the Rito Temple's located. Oh, we full flashbacking? She wandered with an empty mind. That is where she met him. Who is this him? With blood-stained body and frozen limbs. A chance meeting that was more miraculous. Wait. It was the mountain with the Rito Temple. Wait, so this can't be her meeting him. If she was wandering, or, well, I guess she could have been summoned as she was wandering through hell, or she was, like, in whatever location she was for being damned for being a dirty witch, and then she was summoned here? And that's what she means? Falling rain. The rain is symbolic of the fact that she's sad, of course. She was stumbling aimlessly through the dense forest. Rito Temple. Wait, is this a switcheroo? Are we doing a switchy? Is Kazuki not the original master? Did she have an original master that she didn't like and killed that master and switched to Kazuki? Or am I... No, that wouldn't... Because I thought they explained in Timeline 1 that the only reason Kirei could steal Lancers because he himself counted as a master from the previous war. Listen, Team Poima, you say keep reading, but I am a fan of thinking about what it means before I keep reading. That's my shtick. She was stumbling aimlessly through the dense forest. Maybe the he is Berserker? She met Berserker during the Rito Temple, or something, and she's like, oh, you're from my past. I guess, but it doesn't seem like... I don't know, if they're setting up the tragedy, I feel like they'd be talking about Kazuki, but... Also, who's bloodied? Berserker could be bloodied. Maybe Berserker's bloodied after the fight of with Archer, because Archer, you know, shot him and stuff. Although she seems to be panting, so maybe she's the one injured. She left behind a trail of blood. Okay, she's bleeding. At the Rito Temple. Wait, is this the distant past? Is this like the Rito Temple, but actually in the past, not in the present? She left behind a trail of blood. In her hand was a dagger that breaks all contracts. So she broke the contract with her original master? Because she doesn't like her original master, and then got a new master in Kazuki? Is that the idea? Her purple robe was wet with rain, and her limbs had turned white from the winter cold. Okay. Alright. She staggered around, holding onto the trees for support. She walked on, dirtied with mud. She walked on, dirtied with mud, her breath ragged, reaching out her hand as if begging for help. And then Kazuki helps her? And she's able to re-establish a contract with him? Is that possible? She did not look like her usual self, filled with cool composure. No, even the amount of magical energy was unlike her. She was exhausted. She only had a handful of power left. Okay. The idea that all of her bravado is an act, and that she isn't normally someone who always feels in control, that she's someone who is actually constantly scared and just plays up the act because she doesn't want to give in to the idea that she is actually secretly the bottom of the totem pole, does make a certain amount of sense given some of her reactions we've seen. When she gets really freaked out, it's lifting her mask and showing that yes, she is someone who's actually rather vulnerable. Alright. For a servant, magical energy is like a lifeline that allows them to stay in this world. But that was all lost. No magical energy was coming from her master, because her master was dead because she killed him? But that was only natural. She had just killed her own master, right? Not Kazuki. This is before Kazuki, right? That was the cause of her exhaustion. Okay. She, Servant Castor, is about to disappear alone as compensation for obtaining freedom. So she killed her master because she didn't want to be part of the war? Or because the master who summoned her was a big douchebag? And she's like, no, I do douchey things to douches, but I don't want to be a douchebag. Is that the idea? Servant Castor is about to disappear alone as compensation for obtaining freedom. Laughing. A dry laugh. Dry laughter. It is funny that her body was not able to maintain itself, and that she betrayed her vulgar master. Yeah, vulgar master. Okay, her master was a douchey douche. Makes sense. So a douchey douche master summoned her, and she's like, I'm not like you. But and on some level, she is like him. Or her. I assume him. Could be a her. Moreover, it's quite amusing to see how badly she had underestimated the relationship between servant and master. She had done well. Her master was a legitimate magus. Who? Is this someone that we should have any kind of understanding of? Or is this like... Because Rin should know of the legitimate masters in town, so it would be another foreigner? Like the girl Kirei killed? Another foreign magus? He was in his 30s. Okay. He was in his 30s, had a medium build, and had few noteworthy characteristics. That could kind of be describing Kazuki as well, to be honest, but... his 30s, had a medium build, and few noteworthy characteristics. Okay. He had no will to fight, but dreamed of victory. He was a man that only wanted for the other masters to kill each other. I see. Wait, so his goal, he didn't want to fight himself, but he wanted to watch the others fight themselves. He wanted to be like a puppet master. To an extent, that sounds like Castor. The man had not trusted Castor. Unsurprising. If he summoned someone like himself, he would obviously not trust the person like himself. Just like how Castor goes on to not trust Kazuki. Hey! He treated Castor coldly as she was a superior magus, and he insulted her for being inferior to other servants. Okay. Treated Castor coldly, superior magus. That maybe put the inferiority complex in her mind, that she's not worth it. Or maybe, yeah, I guess it has to do with Kazuki. She wants to be made real so bad to be with Kazuki because she loves him so badly, because she feels like he saved her because she was so afraid of dying after she broke away from him. Possibly. She gave up on him after a few days. She acted as an obedient servant and filled the man's conceit. In short, she made him use his command spells for meaningless things. Okay, wait, you're going against what you were saying earlier. Like, her master was a legitimate magus. I suppose, but if he's wasting his command spells like that, then he doesn't seem like a very competent magus. He might be legitimate, but he doesn't seem competent. She told him he did not need the command spells. If he believed her, he's stupid. She made him believe that she would be faithful to her master even without the command spell. It was his fault for believing in her. Yeah, I more or less agree with that. I mean, if he is as much of a douchebag as she's saying, then, I definitely don't think he, should have trusted her. You'd seem like the type who wouldn't trust her. I guess he'd think, oh, you're my servant, you have to work for me. But I mean, the command spells, even if you think that she's going to work for, like, do everything you say, the command spells still can amplify effects. You still don't want to just go wasting them. Yeah, exactly. Even if you believe the servant is 100% loyal, you still wouldn't want to waste the command spells. They can do powerful things, yeah. It was his fault for believing in her. The master used the third command spell for a meaningless thing and was killed by Castor at that moment. I mean, when you use up your third spell, you're basically out of the war. So, I don't know. This sounds a little like she's talking him up like, oh, he's this vulgar jerk master, and then just wasted his third spell and Castor killed him. That seems like you build up Castor, you go out of your way to build up Castor as someone who's got this dagger that can break contracts, and then you don't bother having her use the thing to break the contract on this douchey master. You just say, oh, he was just an idiot who used all three spells up and then was killed by her. It seems a little weak to me, but okay. It was easy. She did not like the fact that the contract with him still existed, so she killed him using the rule breaker. I mean, if you're going to kill him using the rule breaker, can't you do that without him using up his command spells? Like, if you're doing it when he's fucking sleeping, for example, it shouldn't matter if he's got all his command spells. It just seems like weird that they're going out of their way to make this no-name character, unless they name him later on, they're going out of their way to make this no-name character stupid for the sake of the plot when they don't even need to make him stupid for the sake of the plot because she has the rule breaker. So it just seems weird. She killed him using the rule breaker. But she had made a mistake. Servants exist using the supply of magical energy provided by their masters. Consider this. He notices you're trying to kill him and CS's you to kill yourself. I guess that amps up her... shows how much of a coward she is. That's fair, I guess. If she's actually scared of him and the kind of things he can do, she might wait for him to waste his spells. But it's so convenient. I get it, but it's so convenient. I think it would make for a more interesting backstory if it was like, I was really scared to do it. They could still say that she was scared. But, I went through it and I stabbed him with my rule breaker to break his dirty command spells. I don't know. They could still do it, so I don't know. I get it. I get the potential implication there, but it just feels like this guy is now being turned into a plot device. Because, why would he ever waste the command spells like that? Like, that's so needlessly stupid. And he doesn't even need to be needlessly stupid, so. Anyways. Servants exist using the supply of magical energy provided by their masters. But not just magical energy. Servants are only allowed to exist in this age by being connected with people of this age. Unless they're archers or something like that. Okay. In other words, to lose one's master, the passport to this age, means being forced to return to the outside world. Doesn't it really mean just vanishing from existence because you're not the real person, you're an echo? Unless you're someone like Saber? But she would not normally be this exhausted. Oh? This was the curse her master had left her. Oh, okay, her master is incredibly incompetent by wasting all his command spells, but he was competent enough to do some kind of curse? Her master did not approve of her, as she was a better magus than he was. Therefore, he limited her magical energy to be always below his level. Okay. The magical energy level of a mere human cannot keep a servant in this world. She would normally be able to stay in this world for 2 days after losing her master. Okay, I get it. Did he use one of his command spells to do that? I could see that, but like, you still have 2 more. You don't have to you don't have to waste both of your remaining ones. But now it was different. Her magical energy was drastically decreasing with every second, and the end was near. Probably a few more minutes. She would disappear if she could not find her next master in that time. Can Rule Breaker also be Rule Creator? I guess to an extent it can, because she gave herself new command spells out of nowhere for Saber and I suppose Archer. So she could, like, maybe Rule Breaker goes both ways and she could also make a contract. That shouldn't be possible, because Timeline 1 implied that, oh, if someone killed Lancer's master and stole Lancer, it has to be someone who's got masterness. So the fact that she can do this implies that that's what she's doing. Otherwise, it contradicts what they were talking about. Or it means Riordan was just dumb when she thought it had to be someone from a previous war. She would disappear if she could not find her next master in that time. She would disappear before she could fight, unable to do anything. She would be a pitiful servant summoned only to be trampled upon. It was vexing. It was vexing, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. You're used to being trampled upon? It had always been like this for her. I get it, but, I guess we'll just see. If she is the big bad, I don't know. I don't like feeling this sorry for the big bad, so we'll see, we'll see. Not when the big bad is, up till now, been characterized as a really juicy big bad. Like, oh, just deliciously evil. And now they pull this on us. And it can still work, but if she's still meant to be the big bad, I don't know. We'll see. She was treated unreasonably like this all the time. She was always used as a tool, and she was never understood by anyone. Okay? Yes. Her life was always controlled by someone else. Her mind was destroyed at a young age to save a hero chosen by the gods. Is that Hercules? Heracles, as it were? Her mind was destroyed at a young age to save a hero chosen by the gods. Her mind was destroyed? Did she have to sacrifice herself, and that made her a little more evil? So she saved Heracles in a way? And now Heracles' mind is destroyed, him being berserker and all that. Just for the sake of a hero, the goddess of beauty happened to favor. Okay, just for the sake of a hero, the goddess of beauty happened to favor. The goddess cursed her to blindly love a man that she had never seen. Oh, wait. You mean jealousy? Like, are you saying she liked this hero chosen by the gods? So the god was like, hey, I can't, eyes off my man, and forced her to like someone else? Just for the sake of the hero, the goddess of beauty happened to favor. The goddess cursed her to blindly love a man she had never seen. Alright. And she wasn't interested? So, are we going down the rape route? The girl betrayed her father, and she was even forced to betray her own country. We still talking about the same girl? Castor is still the girl? The girl betrayed her father, and she was even forced to betray her own country. Forced to by who exactly? There was no memory after that. Okay, you're skipping steps, I feel. For the sake of the hero, the goddess of beauty, she had never seen. The girl betrayed her father, and she's even forced to betray her own country. Why? You mean she did this because of... Did X lead to Y, or was this just something else she did? Did the fact that she ended up with this man she had never seen lead to this second part? Or did she just happen to do that as a separate incident? There's no memory after that. After everything was over, the girl, who was a princess, was in an unfamiliar country. Alright. A girl that betrayed her father, the king, for a man. Oh wait, okay. Which man, though? The man that she wasn't supposed to have, or the man that she was forced to fall in love with? Okay, I think what you're saying is that she was cursed to blindly love a man that she had never met, so she betrayed her father and betrayed her country to meet this man because the goddess forced her to like this rando guy? Okay. Does Kazuki remind her of that man, so she still feels this awkward pull? A witch that cut apart her own brother, there we go, and threw the pieces into the sea to escape her native country. All because she was cursed by the goddess of beauty to like this man? So she did anything she could to be with that man? Alright. And she cut up her own brother. But that wasn't to escape, was it? Unless her brother and father and stuff were like, you can't be with this man! And she was like, but I must, because love curse! Alright, that's a tragic spin. Which is not at all like the implication of Archer being like, she's just a bitch, she'll do anything. You know. Instead it's, you know, she was mind controlled or whatever. And the man who wanted it done cast her aside in order to become king, saying he could not marry a witch. Right. Okay, I think I more or less get what they're saying. It's a little skippy-whippy in places, but... Cast her aside in order to become king, saying he could not marry her witch. She was controlled and taken to an unknown country, was marked as a witch, and the only person she could rely on threw her away. That is her origin. Alright. And from there, she started just, you know, not wanting to be used like that. She started doing the evil things, so evil things couldn't be done to her. Fair backstory. There's nothing people can blame her for. And people around her were aware of that. But still, people continue to demand for her to be a witch. Maybe when they saw how, like, the great thing... Maybe they didn't blame her for the bad things she did. But they're like, wow, you did some fucked up stuff. Can you do some fucked up stuff for us? Sure, you were mind controlled, but, like, you know, you did it. You were good at it. An evil to protect the king. An evil to be on the receiving end of evil superstitions. People wanted a convenient scapegoat that they could blame for any disaster. Oh, there's that too. This pattern has never changed. People demand easily understandable evil to reassure themselves of their own goodness. That is definitely true. In that regard, she was the perfect sacrifice. The father she could rely on was in a distant country. I thought you already killed your father. Or no, you just betrayed him. Okay. Nobody defended her, and people gladly blamed her for all the ugly things in the world. Ooh, that's some screamy screams. They decided that every ugliness was the witch's doing. That's convenient. And yeah, that sounds that sounds very believable. People are quick to jump on like, oh, they're the blame? Let's blame them! Because the people enjoy blaming. They enjoy having something to blame to vent their anger on. So if they don't know what the cause is, they'll more than readily be like, oh, sure, I believe that's the cause. Shame! Decided that every ugliness was the witch's doing. That they are poor. That they hate each other. That humans are ugly. It's all her fault. How dare you do all these things, witch? You totally are in control of all of this. And even that people die. And sooner or later she just starts accepting it. Okay. So she merely accepted it. Yep. Since she could only live as a witch, she decided to live like a witch. Respectable. She swore to show them the ugliness of the wishes they demanded of her. If people do not know their ugliness, so be it. They can stay ignorant, go to hell for their own crimes, and suffer forever. Alright, so she likes to take people that are jerks and be like, hey, jerks! Did you know how jerky you are? So, she would be, at least based on this understanding, something of a Type 5 anti-hero, I would say. Otherwise, she could just be an anti-villain, but just based on what they're describing, I think she's more Type 5 anti-hero, at least from this backstory. But they're saying that this goes against what she's doing in the present, which I would agree with. She's saying she's started straying from this path of, you know, really kind of evil, but an anti-hero still, to a full-on villain, which I will agree with. Go to hell for their own crimes and suffer forever. They won't be able to get out of hell. They will suffer forever as criminals because they do not know what crimes they have committed. That is the reason for existence she imposed on herself. Okay. That is the only role people gave to the girl, to the one called the witch, who never had a free will. Alright. Never had a free will. So now you want to take all the wills into your own hand? And now you meet Kuzuki. But nobody actually wished for such a thing. Wished for which thing? The same goes for her as well. Death, you mean? She seeks revenge against her will, without having any wish for herself. Ah, okay. Revenge against her will. You mean she never... Wait, what? So you yourself don't actually want revenge, but despite the fact that you don't want revenge, you do want revenge? Am I reading that right? Yes. Until she met up with this stranger. Nobody actually wished for such a thing. The same goes for her as well. She seeks revenge against her will, without having any wish for herself, just because she feels like she has to, because it's going through the motions. That's what people said she was, so she decided to act like it, but she didn't really want it. Fair, I suppose. until she met up with this stranger. If Archer could see and she could perceive this tragic side of her, the Shiro within him, even if young Shiro maybe missed it, the Shiro within him probably would have been like, no, no, I'm willing to let you live. You seem like you're actually kind of not a bad person. I could see that. And that's why Archer would have let her live. If it's more than just strategical. If the strategical was a what's the term, red herring, an excuse. Until she met up with this stranger. A rustling sound. Dashes. She peered ahead, even though she was barely able to stand. It's midnight. Who could possibly come into this forest at this time?
そこで何をしている?
What are you doing there? It was a heavy voice. She did not have the composure to check who it was. She just thought it was all over. She had no power to use magic. Her purple robe might have looked like a coat, but she was covered in blood. A woman covered in blood was hiding in the rain. And he decided on a whim to save her? Is it because, was it just a whim, or did he was it love at first sight? What's the deal? I do think they're going down the tragic lover story where she likes him and he likes her and stuff, but, It is obvious what such a person did. Anyone would run away first. Kazuki doesn't give a shit. He's more or less, he's borderline emotionless. He's also, on some level, an assassin, I would say. What would they do after that? They would either call the police or pretend they hadn't seen it. Let's see. If someone saw a bloodied woman, they would run away, call the police, pretend they didn't see it. Yeah, that sounds, I think most people might act like that, but it depends on how close they got to the person. I think if someone saw a bloodied person from afar, they'd probably run away. But if they got close, to me, I'd feel awkward, and I might ask, are you okay? And if I have a cell phone, try to call or whatever. If not, I might, try to help them out. I think it depends how close they are. And also if they look sketchy, let's be honest. I think all of us would to some extent. Not all of us. There are some goody-goodies out there. And there's some baddie-baddies. But I think most people would look at the person and do an internal analysis of, do I trust this, or am I scared that the reason they're bloodied is because they got in a fight because they're the kind of person to get in fights, and that's scary, and I don't want to get involved in that. You'll have that kind of internal thing. I think it's different from you stumble up to them up close without expecting to get close to them, and if you just see them from afar. If you see them from afar, I think it's more likely for you to just walk the other way, but it depends. There's certainly a scale, but I think if you see them up close, which is what she is expecting, what she's describing is them seeing her up close. I think that it can go 50-50. I think it's more likely to just walk away if they're from far away, but what would they do after that? They would either call the police or pretend they hadn't seen it. It did not matter to her as she could no longer move. That caused the last of her spirit to give out. Her last moment was cold and lonely, just as it was at the end of her true lifetime. Or so she thought. Plot twist, he saves her. Oh, evil Romeo and Juliet. Hey, maybe that is the idea. Maybe they're going to be Romeo and Juliet, and they're going to love each other, and they're going to be doing the Grail War for the purpose of helping the other one out, and they're willing to do bad shit because they think, oh, I'm doing this for you. I want to help you out. And then they find out that all they're doing is they're helping each other out, and they don't have a wish for themselves, and then it gets weird, and they die at the end when they're thinking, then I was helping you. Oh, and it's all fun and sad and stuff, fun and sad and stuff. But again, if they do that, they can do that with them as the big villains. But you have to be careful with that because, because we want to take them seriously as threats we want to beat. So, and the problem with that is there's a difference between a villainous, let's say, villainous lovers that truly love each other. There's a difference between that and then what they're sort of doing with Castor is they're building her up as actually a tragic figure, even apart from Kazuki. So it's not just, oh, she loves him, that's cute. It's, oh, she loves him, also she's just tragic in general. So it's harder to do evil lovers that are just the final villains, and it's kind of tragic because they like each other. But other than that, they're bad people. But in this case, they're setting up that Castor is not other than that bad people. But, or so she thought. When she regained consciousness, she was in that place. Ooh, this is our first time looking at this section of the temple, I think. In front of her is the man who she met in the woods. Did he somehow fill her with magical energy, or was she just not quite fated yet?
起きたか。事情は話せるか。
So you've awakened. Can you tell me your circumstances? Those were his first words. When she watched the man with blank amazement,
迷惑だったのなら帰るがいい。忘れろというなら忘れよ。
sounds like Kazuki. Go home if I did a needless thing. If you wish me to forget about this, I shall do so. The tone of his voice never changed. And you fell in love with him right then and there? That was her first encounter with her master, Kazuki Soichiro. Her new master, which she made because she has a rule maker and a rule breaker? Or what? Or does the rule breaker just do both? Kazuki was a strange man. Should he be called a ghost? He had no reason to live, but had no reason to die. Uh-huh. He was just there, and since he existed, he followed whatever whim took him. Sounds right. He has no self. I think, to an extent, he has a reason to live. He seemed to imply that he would defend himself if they came after him. Although, is his reason to live at this point only to protect Castor because he's in love with her now? Maybe he was more indifferent before that? He has no self. That was her first impression of him, and she thought it would be easy to turn him into a puppet. Of course. She grew to realize that that thought was a mistake. Kazuki Suichiro does not have a past. He has no self because he has no past, but it does not mean Kazuki Suichiro is empty. Alright. I think the idea that he has no past is a little presumptuous, but okay. I think the fact that he's like this is very telling of his past, especially when combined with how freaking good of a fighter he is, but... Kazuki was a sincere man. He easily accepted her when she told him that she wanted him to be her master, and when she told him about her true identity. Is this a thing that can just happen normally, or is this because she's Castor and she has Rule Breaker? Or is this because she's Castor, and because she's Castor, she can do this because she's got more magically stuff?
このような話を信じるのですか?
Do you believe such a story?
今のは嘘なのか?
Was it a lie? He accepted it after she told him it was the truth. And that makes you feel good because most people always believe that she's lying. They always just assume the worst of her because she's, you know, a grody bad person. And she's been just accepting that for so long, but he doesn't doubt her. He just believes everything she says. And so she falls in love with him. Makes sense. She obtained a new master, was able to stay in this world, and return to her role of being a witch. Are you just gonna brush over how that works? Is that just a thing that can happen? In Timeline 1, though, they were like, there's no way he could get a master that wasn't part of it unless it was a master that already existed. So there has to be a special thing here, unless Rin was just wrong, which is just bad writing at this point, because the timeline wrapped up without saying that Rin was wrong, unless I'm remembering the circumstances wrong, but nah. Even if it is because she's Castor and knows how stuff works, I want them to say it's because she's Castor and knows how stuff works. She still considers it to be a miracle. She would have disappeared before she woke up if she wasn't taken to the Ryudo Temple. The Yudo Temple is a demonic place for servants, but is a perfect summoning place once inside. Before she woke up. If she wasn't taking the Rito Temple, I see. It powered her up because it's a good place for servants. Demonic place for servants, perfect summoning place. So it repels them from the outside, but inside it's like really juicy. That makes sense. As Yudo Temple is surrounded by a boundary field, is suited for keeping anything inhuman. She was able to remain without disappearing because she was brought to the Yudo Temple. Had it been any place else, she would have vanished after being taken there. That's a fun coincidence. As a result, she obtained the best ley line and the best protection. Oh, hey, look at that. The least likely to win the war suddenly got a big advantage. Oh, boy. But yeah, this certainly colorizes when she says stuff like, obviously I can win the war whenever. All the other servants are easy. It shows that she's lying to herself more than anything. She has to talk herself up big because she doesn't believe it at all. And if she even is willing to accept for a second that she might not be fully in control, she will give in to her impulses of thinking that, she's weak and worthless and everyone is above her. She obtained the best ley line and the best protection. She easily occupied the Rito Temple, figured out the mechanism of the Holy Grail, and summoned Assassin as the 5th servant. Oh, okay, we get an ordering. Okay, alright, so Assassin's 5th. We know Saber is last. Archer should be 6th. Assassin 5th. I believe Kirei said Berserker was first. Might be Caster first. I think Berserker and then Caster around that time. And then third and fourth would be Lancer and Rider. Not necessarily in that order. Summoned Assassin as the 5th servant. But such things are trivial matters. Okay. She was certainly lucky on that night. Trivial, yes. The things leading to my victory are trivial, of course. What matters is the fact that I lived, and the fact that he believed me. No matter how many times I lied, he believed me. She was certainly lucky on that night. Many miracles saved her, and she is now on the verge of victory. But they do not deserve thanks. She would have been fine with it even if those miracles had not occurred. They don't deserve thanks because she doesn't care about winning? Or because they were coincidental and not something worth thanking? Or they were destined because she was always the one to win, because she has to believe in herself. There's only one important fact. A very small matter that is trivial for anyone else. Okay. Now on the verge of victory. Very small matter that is trivial for anyone else. For her, the fact that she was able to meet Kazuki Soichiro is a miracle beyond belief. Uh-huh. So she could make him a master just because she's caster, I guess. Alright, they don't explain it. Cool. It seems to, on the surface, contradict what they were saying about how, oh, if it's another master, it has to be X. Because this confirms that other possibilities exist. And by not explaining exactly how she did it, it sort of calls Rin's firm beliefs into question from Timeline 1, but whatever. Dash. But it's not going well. No, she feels that everything she does is not going well. Uh-huh. Sounds about right. Her master will not be delighted with what she did. Which thing? Where in the timeline are we? Taking Archer? He has never had an interest in the Holy Grail. She would do her best to grant any wish of his, but Kazuki Soichiro has none. Uh-huh. A one-sided relationship. Oh, if you think that he doesn't like you back, you're so wrong, Caster. You're so wrong. He loves you. That's why he's, acting so... He might, because his emotions don't show very well. you know, he only reveals it through small actions. But I think he's made it pretty clear at this point that he has a vested interest in you, Caster. Remember how this part was called Verse Berserker? False advertisement? I think the entire day is meant to be Verse Berserker, so I wouldn't call it false advertisement just yet, but a one-sided relationship. They do not get along well. They don't? I think he likes you quite a bit. You just don't understand how he gets along with you because he doesn't act the way a normal person would. The entire reason that you love him, because he just accepts everything you say at face value, goes in line with the fact that he's kind of weird, and the fact that he's kind of weird is why you aren't understanding that, yeah, he likes you. You dummy. It's not going well at all.
ミイラ取りがミイラになったか。希代の魔女というのも案外脆いものだな。
So the mummy hunter became the mummy. Even the rare witch is fragile, The mummy hunter. The mummy. Well, who hunted the mummy and who was hunted by the mummies? Who was the mummy that Castor was hunting? That now she's become the mummy? I don't know. How dare you! She turns to the intruder. Archer intruding on her thoughts. This may be, again, on top of trying to save Rin, this might be Archer doing a Shiro, trying to save everyone. He might have realized on some level that Castor can be saved, that she's not a super evil person, and he thinks the best way to save is, instead of going for a full-on fight, even if they had a chance to maybe win a full-on fight, he wants to try to save her by going under her and getting closer to her, because he remembers in the future past, when we lived out this Grail War in the past, that she was someone who could be saved, or that she was never saved but could have been saved, so he wants to do it right this time and not just defeat Castor while treating her as the big bad, possibly. It is not her master that is standing there. It is the knight in red Archer with his true identity still unknown. Maybe to you.
アーチャー、あなたには外の見張りを任せたはずですが。
Archer, I thought I ordered you to keep watch outside.
ああ、それがな、ざっと見たところ、周囲に敵という敵がいない。
Yeah, but I didn't
退
see any
屈を持て
enemies
余してね、
around here.
中の様子を見に来たのだ。
I got bored, so I came to check what was going on in here.
それはそうでしょうね。私たちの敵はバーサーカーだけよ。それもセイバーさえ陥落すれば、こちらから撃って出るだけ。
I
あ
would
なたが
assume
私たち
so.
に寝返った時点で、もう敵なんていないのよ。
The only enemy we have is Berserker. Even with him, we'll go attack them ourselves once Saber is fully controlled. We've had nothing to fear since you joined us. Well, that's nice. However, what about Lancer? Did you, maybe in the scuffle with Kirei, you ran into Lancer, and so that's how you know Kirei is Lancer's master. But I feel like you've led on that you only came here because you wanted to get the Grail. So maybe you're just saying Lancer isn't a fear because Lancer sucks, which, you know, I wouldn't necessarily argue with. I don't think he's one of the best ones. I don't think he sucks, though. Still, though. We've had nothing to fear since you joined us.
あなたもそれが分かっていたからこそ、こちらに着いたのではなくて。
Isn't that why you came to my side?
さて、どうかな。私はあのマスターと契約を切りたかっただけとは思わないか。あのマスター以外なら契約者は誰でもよかったと。
Who cares? Don't you think I only wanted to break my contract with that master? Don't you think I didn't care who my new master was? Ah, because that's what she did. Well, she likes Kazuki a lot, but, you know, she had no knowing of what her next master would be when she killed her first master. She just didn't like her first master. So, you know, Archer maybe just didn't like his first master. That's definitely a lie, but, you know, could be true. There is some truth in Archer's words. What? You just think there's some truth because of your past, Caster? But what does it mean? What does which part mean? Archer had no intention of betraying, but betrayed his master only because he wanted to break his contract with Tosaka Rin? No intention of betraying. Break his contract with Rin because he wants to save Rin, or because he also wants to save you, and he wants to save Saber, he wants to save everybody. But someone's just got to be a dirty villain who you don't save. So we can have an interesting final fight with a dirty villain who we can be all excited when we beat them. Pretty please.
そう。小娘のおもりはごめんということ。確かに私たちサーバントは総じてマスターに不満を持つわ。
I see.
あなたが愛想を尽かすのも当然でしょうね。
So you did not like looking after that little girl? Well, it is true that servants are dissatisfied with their masters. It is natural for you to run out of patience with yours. Yep, fitting with her backstory. But also, you don't know my master. How dare you say that about her? I actually like her all along. Could pull like a reverse, like, I said that I didn't like my master. It turns out I did all along. So you're wrong. Why would you think that?
いや、召喚者として彼女は完璧だった。ただ、少しばかり狂いが生じただけだ。
No, she was perfect as a summoner, but some miscalculations occurred. Namely, that grody Shiro Emiya. Like, fuck that kid. He got in the way and got in her mind state, and completely, compromised her strategic mind state.
それとキャスター、一つ忠告しよう。あらゆるサーバントが君と同じだとは思わないことだ。
And Caster, let me warn you. Do not consider all servants to be like you. I never think she did consider that. I always thought she considered, with her backstory, she considers all the other servants to be stronger than her when she doesn't have prep time.
少なくとも、セイバーとバーサーカーは、主に不満を抱いてはいなかった。正しい英雄というものはね、正しい人間にしか刺激できないものなんだ。
At the very least, Saber and Berserker was satisfied with their masters. A righteous hero can only be summoned by righteous people. I mean, Berserker, Ilya, righteous. Look, Ilya might, she might be good sometimes, kinda, sorta, but she's got some issues, but I understand, Shiro's kind of biased for Ilya in every point of his life, I would assume, so I don't think that's changed when he grew up and became Archer.
何を今さら。ねじ曲がったマスターだからこそねじ曲がった英霊を呼ぶ。そのようなことあなたに言われるまでもないわ。
Why tell me that now? A twisted master calls for twisted heroic spirits. You do not need to tell me that. You do not need to tell me that. Maybe what he's saying is that the reason you're different is because other servants that weren't bad people weren't summoned by bad people. You, though, were summoned by a bad person when you're not that bad, unless this is saying your master also wasn't that bad. Or, they probably were. The Grail might have just done a little fuckery and been like, maybe you're not this bad, but you're close enough. Do not consider all servants to be like you, or satisfied with their masters. I think what Archer is more saying is that normally the good ones are summoned by good ones. You were an exception of one who's kind of good, but was misunderstood and summoned by a bad. Might be what he's really saying. Because if we think about the other servants, Lancer, Lancer's not the nicest person, but I think Kirei's on another level. Granted, Lancer was not first summoned by Kirei, so it makes sense for him to be not as twisted as Kirei, I would say. Ryder, I guess Ryder might be a shithead. We don't know. Because I guess it kind of depends, because Shinji was forced into it or something, and then there's the idea that Shinji might not be totally bad if Makiri is causing that, so he could also be misunderstood. So maybe Ryder's misunderstood. And then Assassin is apparently evil, but he seems honestly not that bad. Maybe that's a giveaway that, Caster isn't that bad, because Assassin, despite his alignment, he doesn't seem that bad. A twisted master calls for twisted heroic spirits. You need to tell me that. That is right. Servants are determined by their summoners. Summoners with dark shadows in their mind cannot summon heroic spirits who are on the light side. In that regard, she and Ryder are not heroic spirits. Okay. An admission that Shinji's, pretty fucked up. But you're saying Lancer is a heroic spirit. So his original master might have been a nicer person, and Kira just kind of stole it. So that was unfortunate. So that covers who? Caster. Well, I guess that's everyone, because Caster, Assassin, Ryder. Caster, Assassin, Ryder. I mean, you're saying Assassin would have to count too as not a heroic spirit if you're being summoned by you and you're admitting that you're also bad. Caster, Assassin, Ryder, and then the other ones would be Lancer, Archer, Saber, Berserker. So yeah. A twisted master calls for twisted heroic spirits. As Ryder was one that was beautiful, she was also one that was pure. Shinji's definitely not beautiful. Well, I guess from a certain perspective, girls might think he's hot. One that was beautiful. Interesting. I mean, yeah, I would agree she's pretty hot. One that was pure. Purely beautiful? It's ironic how the servant Caster summoned is a fictional hero. Right. I think they've been over this already, more or less. The assassin is made up.
しかし、考えてみればおかしな話だな。君やライダーは英霊に敵対するものだろう。にもかかわらず、サーバントとして選ばれている。
But it's indeed strange once I think about it. You and Ryder are ones that oppose the heroic spirits. But you two are still summoned as servants. I guess that shows how grody the Grail is, or they're not really grody. Servant Caster summoned is a fictional hero. Ironic. Maybe Caster thinks it's ironic because she thinks this version of herself is fiction. It's fitting that she would summon a fictional hero because Caster feels like she's been living a lie this whole time. Because she just gave into the role when everyone thought she was a witch. She's like, fuck it, fine, I'll be a witch. So she's playing a part, playing a fiction made real. And now she summons a servant that's fictional.
まあ、聖杯には善悪の区別はない。力のある人間霊なら誰であろうと組み上げるということか。
Well, the Holy Grail does not differentiate between good and evil, so I guess it will summon anyone with powers. Yes, and I think this is Archer's way possibly of probing into just how bad Caster is. Possibly because Archer subconsciously already knows Caster's not that bad. Maybe. Possibly.
いいえ。本来そんな英霊としての側面もあるものなんて、混ざり物は選ばれない。
Originally, a mixed spirit that had a heroic side would not have been called upon. A mixed spirit? You mean some parts good, some parts bad? You were admitting that your some parts good? Had a heroic side would not have been called upon. But now things have changed because the Grail War wants to make things interesting? Or what? It'll summon anyone with powers. Doesn't differentiate between good and evil.
この戦いがおかしくなったのは3度目からよ。
Oh.
それまでは私やライダーのような英霊は呼ばれなかった。
Interesting. Is there some interesting backstory there? This is the 5th war, right? The 4th war would be 0, so the 3rd war is before that? Things went out of order starting with the 3rd war. Heroic spirits like Ryder and I were not summoned before that. Okay. So, if you're like a bad person, you summon a fully bad heroic spirit, not like a kind of good but mostly bad, but maybe sort of more good than bad some of the time heroic spirit. They kept the gray ones out and mostly on with just full good or full bad before the 3rd war. That does not concern her now. She is not concerned about the true identity of the Holy Grail. Oh. Archer, I think, is. Servant Caster's mission is to win this war. She is not interested in what comes after. Really? Okay. Then that goes against what she was saying. She was saying to Shiro, me winning this war is easy. The important part is dealing with what comes after. And now she's saying she's not interested in what comes after. That comes across as, I guess in the past, she was just gloating. It goes into her gloating. Oh, that's all easy. I'm just prepping for what comes after. But really, she doesn't necessarily care about what comes after. Or at least the only thing she cares about is being with Kazuki, having her evil happily ever after with Kazuki, I suppose. And so she's just putting on a facade saying that, oh, whatever comes after is, blah, blah, blah. No, to be honest, that is not the end she wishes for.
無駄話はここまでよ、アーチャー。
Enough with the meaningless talk. Not the end she wishes for. Oh. She has no interest in what comes after. No, she does have an interest. She wants to be made real so she can be with Kazuki, right? Enough with the meaningless talk.
持ち場に戻りなさい。あなたが何を考えているかはどうでもいいわ。あなたはすでに私のサーバント。その命は私の手の中にある。それを肝に銘じて口を聞きなさい。
Get back to your station. I don't care what you're thinking. You're my servant now. Your life is in my hands. Put that into consideration when you talk to me. Yes, ma'am. I could see Archer saying something snarky like, yes, like that kind of, yes, ma'am kind of thing, but like in a, even more Archer snarky way.
了解した。
Yeah.
では従順なサーバントらしく、主の期待に応えるとしよう。
Understood. Yokai shimashita. No, Shiro would never say shimashita. Then I shall live up to my master's expectation like an obedient servant. Him and Assassin both, they could probably get along. They already fought in the past, but they could probably get along with their snark towards Caster. Although I think Assassin just kind of hates Caster, whereas Shiro, I think, Archer, actually wants to look for a way to save her, would be my assumption. These kind of things she says goes in a new light when I kind of have the understanding that she's more of a tragic side. Back to your station, I don't care what you're thinking. You're my servant now. I'm in control. Your life is in my hands. She can't give up that power she has, that power grip. The knight in red goes up the stairs. Dash, dash. Seeing him off silently, Castor lets out a long sigh. It's exhausting. It's exhausting playing the act like you do, Castor. Playing the bad guy. One more day until Saber surrenders. She does not have the Holy Grail yet, but she will approach the end once Saber falls. What will happen when the war ends? Still playing the part without thinking about what happens afterwards, huh? All you want is to make sure Kazuki is safe, more or less, right? Castor will make every wish come true with her powers. Every wish? What is every wish? Every wish Kazuki has? Or, because there's a lot of wishes out there. What do you mean every wish? There's going to be plenty of conflicting wishes, so you can't mean every wish. It is not bad to live as a witch, like she swore before dying. But the reason will go away once the war ends. Oh? Even if she still has the will, her master will lose the reason to stay as her master. Okay. Not really. Not if he likes you the way you like him, and I think he does.
あと少しで聖杯はこの手に収まる。
I will obtain the Holy Grail soon. Interesting. She doesn't really know where it's going. Despite talking about how I'm just prepping for the after effect before, more than anything, she has no idea what's going to happen afterwards and what the idea is if she wins. I think she's so desperate to not lose the connection to Kazuki that she's doing all these evil things, more evil than she normally would do, because she doesn't want to lose and be separated from Kazuki. She just wants to win as soon as possible and not risk some kind of tragedy occurring between the two of them, would be my assumption. Make every wish come true with her powers. What do you mean every wish? That's kind of vague, and there are going to be plenty of wishes that contradict, but... I'll obtain the Holy Grail soon. Castor gracefully reaches out into empty space. Her hard work is about to be rewarded, but her expression is like that of a criminal about to be executed. She's expecting to be taken out for her badness, like she thinks when she gets the Grail, she'll maybe do some good stuff with the Grail, but she'll give herself up as a sacrifice because after all the bad things she's done, she doesn't deserve to have a happy ever after. Okay. Cool. Ish. Oh, more fire flashbacks. I saw many corpses. That's fun. Ha back to the fire. Okay. Let's make that their save point. We were already there. That's third night. So let's save over this thing we can't load. Actually, this is our first can't load. I want to keep our first can't load. Let's save her over our second can't load. Oh, wait, hold on. Back. Save. Wait. I can't load? Does that mean I can't save? Hold on. How does this work? Oh, can I not save over something that I can't load? Oh, I can't save over that fascinating. They share save points, but they're not letting me overwrite a save that I can't load. That's something new I've learned. That changes my plans. Okay. In that case, we're gonna go all the way to the back. Alright. How did I start this again? I went right to left, bottom to top. Is that right? First day breakfast. 0301, 1002, 0301, 1015, 1033. Bottom to top, yeah. Alright. In that case, let's go to the second one. And then we're going to overwrite and go... What are we calling this? Caster is tragic now. Okay, so Caster is tragic now. Alright, that's something. Caster being tragic is certainly something. How long have we been going for? Hour 20 minutes. That was a fine segment. I could stop here. I said I wanted to stop early. I think a decent... Wait, hold on. My status screen doesn't update from interludes normally, does it? Hold on, let me just check. Status. Caster. Oh, wait, it updated. Holy... Okay, wait a second. I didn't notice it updating, but let's look at this stuff. Medea. Alright, what do we got? Okay, I guess this is how we could end today. Okay, we've got a bunch of new stuff. Let's read over some of Caster's. Do we have Berserkers now? No, that's dumb. Sure, let's read over Caster stuff, and then I'll probably call it today, because I did want to, do it slowly. Slowly? Leslie. Alright, we got a new skill for Caster. Golden Fleece EX. Very valuable. It is said that it can summon dragons. Oh, that's fitting for Saber. But since Caster does not have the ability to summon phantom beasts, it cannot be used. Wait, what? Why do we get this ability all of a sudden? How do we know that she has this? What's the point? It is said that it can summon dragons, but since Caster does not have the ability to summon phantom beasts, it cannot be used. But Saber can ride dragons. She can ride most vehicles... but she cannot ride those of demonic beast. Oh, wait, maybe she can't ride dragons. But I would think she could ride dragons, because she is the dragon. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, what a weird skill to point out. Seems like she would summon a dragon for Saber to use, right? It just seems weird they tell us this now. Anyways, we have Medea's story. Let's go ahead and read that, and let's see how different it is from, what her backstory was. An unfortunate princess labeled as a witch in Greek mythology. Saber can't ride dragons, but she is a dragon! I know Rider's thing says she can't ride dragons. Ability to ride things can ride even demonic and holy creatures if they are beasts. This, however, does not include dragons, because dragons are like EX, right? I don't know. I would think Saber, if anything, could ride the dragon, unless it's Shiro that can ride the dragons, because he rides Saber, as it were. I'm not sure what the point is of saying that she can't ride dragons, unless it's symbolic of how she'll always lose to Saber. Because unless they summon a dragon, it's so weird that Caster, she can summon dragons, but she can't actually use the dragon. And they just tell us this all of a sudden. So, she's going to summon a dragon, but Shiro can ride it, but no one can ride it, or nobody can ride it, or they can't ride... I don't even know. EX summoning a thing that can't be ridden. Cool. Weird that they tell us now all of a sudden. That's weird. Alright, an unfortunate princess labeled as a witch in Greek mythology. Jason, Jason? Wait, what? Someone from her setting has a name Jason? That's such a... Maybe that was a name back then, but when I hear that, I'm like, that's such a normal, modern, American-ish name. Weird. Alright. Jason, a hero famous from the Argo expedition, argued with King Peleus. Oh, that gives me Fire Emblem vibes. Argued with King Peleus, the usurper of his father's country. From the Argo expedition, argued with King Peleus, the usurper of his... Okay, so Jason's father was usurped. He managed to make the king promise to return the country to him if we went far east to Colchis and returned with the Golden Fleece. Oh, that's why we have the Golden Fleece as an ability for her now. As in Jason and the Argonauts? I've never heard of that, but I'll believe that it's a thing. Okay, the princes of Colchis that possess this Golden Fleece. Okay, wait. Return to Colchis. Returned with the Golden Fleece. Okay. The princess of Colchis that possessed this Golden Fleece was Medea. King Aetes... Aetes? I fucking know. King Aetes of Colchis excelled... I'm sure I'm saying all this shit wrong. Excelled at magic. As his daughter, she also practiced magic, but her personality was far from what you might call a witch. Her fate was confounded after the hero Jason appeared. When the goddess Aphrodite, I believe I am saying that right, who supported Jason, realized that the king of Colchis was unshakable, she controlled his daughter Medea's mind and made her blindly love Jason. Right, so I more or less was correct in my understanding of this. As a result, Medea betrayed her father and her country for a foreigner called Jason, whom she had never seen before. Medea nullified her father's magic and even the enchanted fire-breathing oxen and allowed Jason to obtain the Golden Fleece. Of course, the king of Colchis was infuriated and personally led his army to capture Jason before he left the country. To assist Jason's escape, Medea was once again used by the goddess. Medea boarded the Argo, which belonged to the man she loved yet only knew by name, and sliced her brother, oh boy, Absterus. Absterus? That's a name. We got names like Jason, but we also got Absterus. Sliced her brother Absterus into pieces right before the eyes of her pursuing father. The king was overcome by grief and ordered for the collection of the pieces of his dead son. Seizing the opportunity, the Argo escaped its pursuers, and Jason safely returned to his native land of Iolcus. Returning to his native land, Jason asked for the return of the country as promised, but King Peleus refused and formed a plot to kill him. Jason relied on Medea's magic 3 times to escape the danger, and Medea came up with a plan for Jason. They invited King Peleus to visit and killed his servant in front of him. After reviving him with her magic, Medea offered to cast the spell of immortality on the king as well. Okay. Invited Peleus to visit, killed Peleus' servant in front of him, reviving Peleus' servant with her magic, offered to cast immortality on the king. Okay. The king was overjoyed and gave his body to Medea. Oh, I see. Okay. Wow, what a little... what a bitch. Of course, his dead body was left in pieces and thrown into the sea. Obviously. I mean, what kind of idiot just accepts that? Oh, of course you'll do that on me. Thus, Jason became a king. But his fellow Argonauts did not approve of his conduct. Most of all, they disapproved of Medea's existence. She had betrayed her country for a man, killed her brother to save herself, and now taken the throne by deceit. Medea was denounced as a witch and chased out of the country together with Jason. Wait, Jason was chased as well? I thought Jason chased her out. Chased out of the country together with Jason. Jason, Medea... Oh, no, okay, Jason was chased out too, alright. Chased out of the country, and then Jason gives her up to get his own freedom or something? Denounced as a witch, chased out of the country together with Jason. This part was left out of her backstory. Jason and Medea arrived at Corinth, where they were welcomed by the king. Medea finally found peaceful rest in this land. This peace, finally obtained after her abduction and denouncement, did not last long. The king of Corinth took a liking to Jason and decided to have his daughter marry him. Ooh. Jason also chose the young daughter, and Medea was exiled. Wow, he tries so hard. Okay, that's an important point of the story, in my opinion. He tries so hard to be the king of this one country, and ends up getting his, this stalker god to mind control Medea to help him do it, only for after the fact the people to be like, no, we don't want you. So he flees and takes refuge with some other king, and then that king is just like, oh yeah, you're cool. I'll let you be the king and marry my daughter. And like, that makes all of her bullshit even more of a waste. Oh, okay. And Medea was exiled. Her actions after that were indeed those of a witch. Medea appeared at Jason's wedding and used her magic to burn all who attended, including the king of Corinth and his daughter. Of course. Sounds fair. Can't say I would have done differently in her shoes. Jason was the only one left alive because she still loves him because of her fucked up spell. Is that true? Used her magic to burn all those who attended, including the king of Corinth and his daughter. Her fate after she left Corinth is unknown. As her life was filled only with betrayal, it is said that the princess became a true witch and continued to roam the Greek lands. Basically, Medea was turned into yandere with magic, lost literally everything, and ended up dumped in the end. Yeah. I'd probably go evil after that too if that happened to me, not gonna lie. She's got a pretty bad backstory. It definitely explains her current villainry. I don't mind villains that they give a backstory to explain why they are villains. But, there's a difference between that and then going the extra route, which they have with Castor. And then they're like, no, she still has a soft spot in her. She's doubting her actions now. She clearly has, on some level, can be saved to some extent. Which is, again, fine if that's the idea that Shiro's saving everyone. And so Shiro's going to count this bitch Castor in the people she's saving because they've shown through her backstory that she's not actually that bad. I'm just wondering if that means they're going to have a different final villain, or if they're going to try to make her work as a final villain even while being sympathetic, which is, I guess, is fine. I just personally prefer bad guys that I can enjoy as bad guys that we can defeat and laugh at because they're bad guys. And, you can still save them in a Batman-esque way, where you don't actually kill them, and you, let them live, and maybe they can be redeemed later off-screen, because, in the moment, which Shiro did not do in Timeline 1 with Kirei. He just killed his ass. But that's what so it's just because I had already fixed in my head that, oh yeah, Castor's she's the perfect juicy villain who's just so easy to like to hate, and now they made me kind of like her, and now I'm like, oh, now she's not as much of someone who I like to hate anymore, and I'm like, oh, I liked hating her. So it's one of those things. But anyways, right, so I think I am going to stop here. I did want to stop early. We've gotten, it's a nice 90 minutes recording. I think that's fine given that, and it was a nice beat. We got the Castor story. I think that's perfectly acceptable. So, yes, we will continue this on next Monday. And also, did we drop frames all of a sudden? Doesn't matter. We were just reading text. Castor story is interesting. I like it. I'm not uninterested. I'm just now less necessarily excited for the ending if it's going where I think it's going, but it might not be going where I think it's going. So now I'm hoping it's not going where I think it's going, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see you guys next time. Still don't have an outro phrase. Shiro is seeing many corpses, though. He's still seeing many corpses. It works. Shiro wanting to save everyone, Castor being someone he can save as that everyone, doesn't not jive with the story so far. It's just not what I was expecting. Anyways, stop recording.